People are really saying that? They're really saying now's the time to buy a house in Venezuela?
Yeah.
All right. You know, they teach you how to give a listing presentation, and it's something like, oh, let me show you all of these things about me that are so amazing and why you need to hire me. And it's bullshit. No one cares. They care about how much, how fast, and what are you gonna do to get me to my goals? Here's 1 or 2 or 3 different ways to get there, and then let them make the decision. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Meghan Pelley, and this is my podcast. I want to take a minute and reflect back on 2025 and maybe give some projections from an completely unqualified perspective of what I think is going to happen in 2026. Last year, I felt like everybody was kind of singing a song of gloom and doom.
There are growing concerns tonight about the nation's housing market. Sales are slowing, with homeowners struggling to find buyers in many locations across the country.
And it wasn't what we were seeing. We still finished the year really strong. We had over 65 sales just under me personally. And the volume was good. I mean, it was very good for, you know, the life I want to live, which is being at home sometimes with my kids and letting them remember my face. And so, yes, I could work more, and yes, I could turn that up, but we finished the year strong. So I didn't feel the pains that other people were talking about, but I don't really know why that's the case. I think it's probably because we get our business from various sources. A lot of it's repeat referral. We do have a social presence online. We have affiliate partners that we serve often, estates, bank foreclosures and things like that. So no matter what the market is doing, we've got experience in all of those different platforms. And we're always looking for other avenues that we can explore. So for example, we started having conversations with Airbnb universities and things like this that teach people how to run and be profitable with their short-term rentals. And part of that is how to acquire the right short-term rental. And so we reached out to them to be an affiliate partner. Like, hey, if you have somebody that you think would be a good fit for us, we'd be happy to find them, you know, a great property that delivers good results on their numbers. As far as my predictions for 2026, I think that the real estate market will be strong for us. I think that we've got a lot of wonderful outlets with a lot of wonderful clients and different affiliates that we share business with. And so I'm excited. I feel like over the Christmas break, there were a lot of phone calls, people setting up appointments for the beginning of the year, and we're just coming in strong out of the gate. So I'm not sure what the they and them projections look like, but I'm just worried about what we do. And I feel like the hard work that we put in during 2025 will give us a really clear runway to deliver excellent service going forward in 2026. So, full disclosure, I am not the one pulling the trigger behind the scenes on a lot of what we put out on social media. I have somebody who's way more qualified than me to do that, and he does a wonderful job. And we did this fun video about the city of New Braunfels. If you're not familiar with New Braunfels, let me tell you a little bit about this really cool town. If you don't already know, New Braunfels is like a hot ticket. It's in Comal County, which is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. And part of that area includes Canyon Lake as well. And I love Canyon Lake. I have property in Canyon Lake. I serve that area and have for over 15 years. And it's just a very peaceful part of the hill country that I'm a big fan of. But much like other places that are kind of a well-kept secret, they're very guarded about it, and they don't really want a lot of people moving into their area. They like that sleepy, quiet community vibe. So we did this really nice video showcasing New Braunfels and parts of the Canyon Lake area and posted it we got permission, but we posted it in a All Things Canyon Lake private Facebook group. and we got a lot of hate. They were not excited to have us promote that area. And I noticed when I started to look at some of the comments that they really weren't favorable. And so I told my media guy, hey, so I probably should have mentioned to you, like, ixnay on the Aclay thing. Like, they don't want people moving out there. And being the pro that he is, he said, do you mind if I respond? And I was like, knock yourself out. And he did a great job. He responded with, okay, I hear you. Give me some other ideas of areas that, you know, we should be showcasing besides Canyon Lake. And, you know, and it's just that the lake has seasonal times, and when the season is high, it's difficult for people that live there full time to enjoy their space. The roads get backed up because everybody's tubing, and then when they tube, they drink, and then that sometimes has spillover as a result of it. But you know, all in all, it's a great growing community. The lake levels are a little bit low, and so from a real estate perspective, you know, I know it's easy to run with the school of fish. Like during the COVID market, when everybody was buying, it was like everybody wanted to buy, and it was a good time to buy, right? Interest rates were low, and there were a lot of great reasons to buy. But it's harder to get people motivated to buy when they're hearing this narrative of, oh, the sky is falling, it's a terrible time to buy. And so when you look at the lake from that perspective, the water levels are low, the inventory is high, and so a lot of people feel like, oh, it's not a good time to buy at the lake. And it's a great time to buy at the lake because the water level is low and the inventory is high, and those things aren't always going to be true statements. And so why not take advantage of a market that is, you know, really ripe for the picking for a buyer? Enjoy your lake house on the weekends, move there full time. Like depending on where you're at on the lake, you could be in San Antonio in 45 minutes. So there's EMS and great services, restaurants, coffee shops, all kinds of interesting and fun things to do. And you can be in New Braunfels or San Antonio in just a few minutes. So I think it's a great time to be out there. But it was just kind of funny how they were a little less than excited to see us posting any reason why somebody might want to come and move out to Comal County. But it's a great place to be. So I have a client that I really enjoyed serving. So I sold her and her spouse a house several years ago. And unfortunately, they got a divorce. And when that happened, they had me over and they explained their situation. And I said, well, we can do one of a handful of things. We could either sell your house as is, and you're going to get a lot of like low ball offers because whoever buys it in a situation like that is going to want to renovate it. They're going to need enough equity spread on it to turn around and sell it. So that's choice number one. Choice number two is to renovate it yourselves, and then we can sell it at this price range. And it'll take a little bit of time, but I can help guide you through that process. I can renovate it on your behalf, and we can sell it in that price range, and you can recoup some of the equity. It'll just require we do a little bit of a construction project here that might put you out for about 2 to 4 weeks. Or if you want, you can just hit that easy button right over there, and I'll just write you a check. And you guys can part ways, and that'll be the end of it. And a couple of days after that appointment, they said, we'll let you know. And so a few days later, they reached out and they said, you know, we'd like to hit that easy button and go ahead and just have you buy the house. And I said, okay, just so we're clear, I'm going to fix up the house and then I'm going to resell it and I'm going to sell it for more. And they were fine with that. They just wanted to move on with their lives and part ways from the asset. So that's what they did, that's what I did, that's what we did, and that worked out for everybody. After that, well, during that process, after they decided they were gonna sell the house to me, I put one of them in a rental. And so I put her in a rental and she lived there for a year and it was great. And then almost a year later, she called and said, hey, they're gonna sell my rental. I kind of don't really want to live here while they're selling it, and I think I want to buy another house. So we looked all over Summer Market and found her the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood. If you know San Antonio at all, we put her in the King William district, which is the most walkable place in the city. This person is active as the day is long and hot here. I mean, you name it, she does it. Outside, indoors, just never sits still, all the recreation you can think of, and just picked the most darling house in the most perfect area. And we got together for dinner and drinks not too long ago, and she's absolutely loving it. And so I love that we were able to get creative to get both of them out of a situation that was no longer serving them. That was a win for everybody. Got her into a rental that worked out well for her when she needed it. And then when it was time for her to move into something else, we found her the perfect house. And so I was just really thrilled to hear that she is enjoying this new chapter of her life, and that we got her taken care of. Oh, I think if I was 20 years ago sitting at their table dealing with their situation, I would have only had probably one resource to deploy. I don't know that it would have ever occurred to me to offer to help them renovate the property at that level, to turn around and sell it, and so that they could have recouped more equity to split it out. You need experience with that. You need trades and resources, capital, the right crews that are going to come in, do the job, do it quickly, do it because time is money in situations like that. So had they said yes to that, just being brand new in the business, I don't think I would have had those resources available to me. So that was one area. I think when I first came into the business, I probably would have thought, well, I'm just here to sell their house, and that's that. And this is the house the way that it stands. And so this is what I'm going to suggest to them. And so I probably would have only given them one offer of how to deploy the plan. But I sat down with them and I listened to what they wanted. And what they wanted was, they felt trapped. They felt trapped in their marriage that they didn't want to be in anymore. They felt trapped in a house that they couldn't deal with anymore. And they wanted to very much get out of that feeling. And so, once I know what somebody's issue is that they're trying to resolve, then we can pull apart options that make sense for them. And I think when you get into real estate, there is less focus on, they teach you how to give a listing presentation, and it's something like, oh, let me show you all of these things about me that are so amazing and why you need to hire me. And it's bullshit. No one cares. They don't care how awesome you are. They don't care how many awards they win. They care about how much, how fast, and what are you gonna do to get me to my goals? And people don't always inherently know what their goals are. And so you kind of have to pull it out of them and ask the right questions. And that's not something that I think a 20-year-old version of me would have known to do. I wasn't trained to do it. But when I started to look at things through that perspective, it made it a lot easier. One, they weren't rejecting me if they didn't hire me. I just wasn't a fit for whatever their goals were. Their rejection was protection to us not going forward in a journey that wasn't going to work for everybody or for anybody. So, I think having the runway to know, like, okay, this is where you're at, this is where you want to be, with the resources and tools that we possess between the 2 or 3 of us, or how many people are in conversation, here's 1 or 2 or 3 different ways to get there, and then let them make the decision. I got a contract last night that was from somebody who had made an offer on our house a few months back, and they came back to us and it wasn't better. And my first reaction was, well, why do we want to take this? It's not better. But when I spoke to my clients, they said, let's take it. We're ready to move forward. And I wanted to say, okay, but I think we should. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. That's my ego talking. And so I have to tell her to go sit down, because that's not what my people want. My people want this. And so let's move forward with what they want. And I think in real estate, and I think in sales in general, which I'm a little hesitant to say that real estate is sales, it's more consulting and guidance, but it falls under that umbrella. That's what people are taught. Well, overcome the objection. Well, no, let's not overcome the objection. Let's find out what the actual issue is and what can we do to resolve that issue, if anything at all. So that's kind of what I think I would have told my younger self.
More insight into the legal and business implications of Maduro's capture. We're joined by Richard Farley, Herbert Smith, Freehill's Kramer partner. Richard, the tease for you was that you say there's a lot of opportunity here. Yeah. It's huge.
So it's interesting because I bought real estate in Mexico this year, and the reactions that I got from people were so interesting, and they spread across the board. Some of them were excitement and, that sounds great. I obviously didn't wake up one day and be like, I think I'm gonna buy a property in a foreign country. No, I didn't do that. I did homework, I did research, I got the right team, at least I believe that I did, and I went forth and embarked on this journey. Only time will tell if it was a good idea or not. But I would say, making rash decisions about buying real estate in foreign countries when you don't really know what the long-term plans are for that area, the country. Also, P.S. Venezuela is not around the corner, although it's beautiful, stunning, beautiful. I don't know how I would, that's probably not something I personally would do. I do, though, have an amazing colleague. Her name is Ana Ramos, and she is a broker here in San Antonio, and she is from Venezuela, and her husband, Hector, is a home inspector. Oh, that rhymes. They would be the people to ask that question to, I feel like. So if somebody called me and they said, hey, what do you think about buying property in Venezuela? I would say, you know what? I think you need to talk to my friend Ana, because she will be the one to tell you yay or nay. So if you want advice on buying property in Venezuela, I'm going to refer you to an expert in that area. And her story is amazing. They fled Venezuela while she was pregnant, very pregnant, and they have lived an amazing and built a beautiful life here in the United States. And their kids are grown now, and I think sometimes, without climbing on a soapbox, I have to mention the fact that people come here all the time under circumstances that most Americans really can't wrap their head around, and they forge a beautiful life for themselves and their community, and their family is a great example of that. So if you want to learn more about her, I'd be happy to put you all in touch. If you're a brand new agent and you have questions about how to maybe look at things through a different lens than what you've already been taught, if you are a buyer or a seller or thinking about buying or selling, if you want to know about property in Mexico, or if you want to talk about property in Venezuela, drop those questions down below. This is our first podcast. We're excited to do future podcasts. Stay tuned for guests and collaborators and all kinds of fun stuff going forward. Thanks for your time.